Let's talk about what it's like to coach teachers through their classroom cleanout for their first year, their 10th year, or their 100th year.
This episode of the Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you by the Herzog Foundation. As always, the thoughts and opinions expressed within this episode are those of your hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation. Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockel. Our good friend, Rihanna. Rihanna is trying to get us to do some reaction videos. And so we have one posted. You should check out our YouTube, or it could be a reel on wherever else you're finding your stuff, Facebook or Instagram. But there is one of I can do anything through Christ, and the video is below me, like the little border is below me, and then I react to it over top. I have about 3 that I've sent her. We'll see if they are liked overall. We'll see how that lands. I have no idea what it's going to do, but we have had some pretty solid recent view. And I look back, we see 1,000 plus on each of our most recent shorts, and those are coming every day. So again, make sure you're part of our feed. I'd also say, praise God, we have 181 followers on Spotify and 240 we've hit on Apple, which means we are climbing closer and closer to our goal. We're at 421 right now, with a goal of 500 by the end of the year. So Lord willing, we will absolutely nail that goal by the end of the year. We have 136 on YouTube. Just getting there, little stacking bricks, stacking. Matt, were you able to fix your lawnmower this weekend? You had the thigh-high grass and whatnot.
Well, I was able to get it moving with a blade running beneath it. Took much longer than I needed to do, so still some tuning that is much needed. But yes, the lawn looks great. Just took a lot
Lawn
longer
looks
than I
good.
would like.
Weekend warrior, well done,
Shoot.
sir. Well, listen, as the lawns are getting longer, as the grass is getting greener, as what is weeds and what is, brown space in between my weeds over the winter time breaks forth into spring and then into summer, as we spend longer times in the sun on our Saturdays and our Sundays, and more time at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever you got local, because those projects get the itch, got the projects to do. There also comes the end of the school year, or the closing down of the school year. Hopefully you already have in your back pocket, you just pull it out and say, these are the 10 things that my faculty have to do, or that we are expecting faculty to complete before they leave. Tonight, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the coaching, the classroom clean out, what we really expect that to look like, what that should look like, what gets missed. And we're going to approach this from a how should we prepare, and then in the midst of, and then the things that are forgotten, because we don't want to be on the back end trying to clean up after the 10, the 20, the 40, the 500 that you have to clean up after, or your staff have to clean up after, once they're gone, because many hands make light work, and we're all about that light work, baby. I scream that at my gym buddies. Light work, baby. Lightweight, baby. It's great. My brother hated me for it, because I will scream it. I will actually scream it in the gym. Formerly, at one of the gyms that's purple and yellow, a lunk alarm would go off. I'm no longer at that gym. My decision. Absolutely.
Because they kicked you out for yelling too much.
Yeah, they kicked me out for yelling lightweight, baby. They thought I was talking about somebody, and they didn't like that very much. Listen, another anecdote. So my wife and I decided it was time to replicate our in-laws' sandbox in our backyard. So we set about to replicate our in-laws' sandbox in our backyard, but we replicated it at like a 2x level. So we now have an 8x8, 2x8, 2x8x8 on all sides, which makes it, an inch shorter than that on each side, whatever. It was there with little cross braces as seats on the corners, and it's painted. It matches the trim of the Princess Palace we put up a couple summers ago, and it's huge. And I realized that because I like weeded I weed eated. I waited.
Mhm.
I would eated. I don't know what to say. I weed ate all of the grass, like scalping it to the dirt, and then I watered it down and started raking it, so I wasn't just like, you know, just destroying my hands and everything else on the hard surface. Then we went to Home Depot and actually bought some sand to put on top of our sand. So now we have nice sand on top of our naturally occurring sand in our backyard. But it looks great and it's nice. Well, my wife took a picture of some Friar Tuck bent over and unloading sandbags into that space. When's the last time you saw a picture of the back of your head? Because for me, that was today. I was like, Andrew, I don't know what kind of monk you hired to come out here and to with this
Or
little like,
sanded or sandbox.
yeah, this sand and sandbox, but get him out of our house. Then I realized that little monk was me, of course. Like on the top of my head, where'd my hair go? I don't know where it's gone to. It's taken its summer break. It's cleaned out itself already.
This is why you keep wearing hats on the podcast.
Absolutely.
I don't wear them as frequently.
It's like back here somewhere.
Yeah.
It's back there. It's just a hole. It's a hole. Like there's little thin wispies over top. I'm scared, Matt. I'm going to be the horseshoe head soon, which means I'll probably have to shave my head.
Yeah, this thing. You just got to own it early. Just own it. Just,
Yeah.
get out the bic.
I don't think it's totally. I don't think it's as bad as our brother-in-law's right now, but
no,
it's not good. That's for sure. I've not seen that side of myself in a while. So
I don't know what to expect for myself because both of my grandparents had a good head of hair. My dad is thinning, but so I'm anticipating I'll probably follow his, but he's just now like it's not like Christopher or like you know, he didn't start way back then. He's just now starting when he's, getting up to that 70 marker, he's getting closer to that. So I got a little time.
Yeah, you got a little bit of time. Yeah, you got a nice head of hair up there. You're doing well. This has nothing to do with cleaning out. I just thought maybe you needed to hear that tonight to feel better about yourself for whatever reason. Folks out there, maybe
thank you so
we're
much.
not perfect. Yeah, there you go. Good job. We're not perfect by any stretch. But we are who we are, and we're talking about coaching the classroom cleanout. Okay, Matt, if you have the first year faculty member who is, they have never cleaned out a classroom before in your Christian school, what are some things you're hoping to get from them in that time? And I'm assuming that most classrooms, we are asking them to take away. What's nice is a smaller school, you can say, we know you're, Lord willing, you're going to be here next year, so feel free to leave X, Y, and Z. But even that is a limited amount. It's not really much more than maybe a locker or a credenza or something. Of course, the larger we get, the more movement we have, perhaps they aren't able to retain as much in the classroom. So let's just go with retaining little in the classroom as what you're going to talking them through. So talk me through what you might say to a rookie anyway.
Yeah. And I think it also should be said that in ministry-based schools,
sure,
you're very likely dealing with a shared space that's going to be utilized over the summer too. So even keeping that in mind, I think is going to inform me what I'm going to be sharing with my teachers as to what they should leave or what they, need to get rid of. But for a first year teacher, the big thing that I always want to share with them is get as much done as you can as early as you can. Meaning use the little hands that are in your classroom before they disappear.
All right. Okay.
Now, you don't want to be ending the school year with an undecorated classroom, and still be teaching content with, just bare bones. So obviously get through your content. And actually, when I get to this time of the year, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was an indication I was going to be a teacher one day, but as a student, this was the time of year I looked forward to. Not so much that, hey, it's time to, be done with school and go out to the summertime. But there's just something about getting that classroom as close to bare bones as possible, as a student, that I just loved. And a lot of my elementary teachers in particular, would like parcel out some things that they weren't going to be using anymore. So you'd be able to go home with some, artwork or something that, everybody loved and you won the prize, even though it probably got thrown in the trash a week later. But yeah, use the students in helping with getting that room prepared for the summertime.
Mm,
That's just golden rule. Don't put it off. And you know, I feel like this is a first year teacher thing where we'll get to the last day of school and I'll walk past the classroom and I'll look in and their room looks exactly the same.
mhm.
And it's just like, oh man, they got a lot of work to do. And they're gonna be complaining and whining, or they're going to be seeking my help to clean things up. And it's just like, "Oh, why can't you just get a little bit more done? You don't have to do everything, but
Mm,
get some things done that they can help with." That's going to be my
okay,
first
interesting.
big hip tip.
Yeah. I'm gonna, I'm gonna make sure that I have, and I know you have this as well, and we all do, but I'm gonna make sure that, for my rookies, I probably sit down and go over the classroom checkout list with them, or checklist, a checkout sheet, whatever you're gonna call it. I wanna make sure they know, and we alluded to this recently, but I wanna make sure they know what's expected of them in the end. I'm going to make sure they know what is expected of them in the end. Meaning, first of all, this is what we do. We leave campus and we go out to eat together, and then some come back, some we don't see until the Monday following, but at that point, they are working on their own time finishing out what they're contracted for. And if they put that off too long, whatever the consequence for that would be, they're working without pay, or their stuff gets thrown out in the hallway. Like, who knows what that would look like, but uh so I'm walking them through very specifically. We do have a meeting on the Monday upcoming, so you'll have half a day after that, or you are expected to be here. You're not actually checking out. I would just make sure that they know what that timeline looks like, so they can, as you are saying, at least with or without a classroom, have their classroom clean out process in mind as best as they can. Now, it's going to be whatever it is that they see ultimately, in reality, doing it for the first time. But again, that's part of being new, part of what it is. But I've had too many issues not being very blunt on expectations to not roll first year teachers through that. Is there anything else that comes to mind for those who would need front end preparation? I talked about checklists. Maybe anything on your checklist that really stands out to you, or do you not have a checklist? Is it something that is it once they're done with their checklist, then they're free to go? They have a closing meeting with a principal and then with you. What does it look like for you?
Yeah, I would just say make sure that checklist is an actual checklist. Like give
Mhm.
them something in writing that is physical for them to be able to go through step 1, step 2, yes, did that, yes, did that. And it is best that that checklist is something that can be turned in
Mhm.
to their immediate supervisor, whether it be principal, administrator, whoever it is, that can put eyes on it and yes, verify that that has in fact been
Yes.
done.
And that's
Um,
a big deal. That's a
yeah,
that verification, it's a far bigger deal than first year administrators. Like, we wanna trust. I wanna trust. I wanna trust that they are gonna do it. Should never trust they're gonna do it. They are just as excited for the end as the students are in most cases, so.
yeah. The one thing that I would say that a part of that process, like cleaning the classroom is one thing, cleaning off the walls, cleaning up, desk area, maybe even stacking desks. There's all that. But something from on a kind of facility side of things that's easy to be forgotten is do a key inventory. Make sure that that is a part of that checklist. That whatever keys they have. Now, I know some schools might have them turn in all their keys over the summertime, which would be good and helpful, but you've got that little tiny key that works with their filing cabinet and, they never
Yes.
use it because they never lock their
Yes.
filing cabinet or whatever it is.
Mhm. Mhm.
But there comes a time over the summer where you want to get in that cabinet and it's locked and you're like, okay, where's the key? And nobody knows where the key is and you're hunting it down. So
And they're on
that's
vacation.
and there. on vacation in the Poconos because they can't
Yeah.
afford to go anywhere else.
They've gone
I
to Djibouti, and there's no way of reaching them in Djibouti.
oh, that what are you paying them that they're going on vacation there? But anyway, yeah, I would just say that's probably an easily overlooked thing, at least on the teacher side of things. Maybe not so much on us, but teachers, we get keys, we gather keys throughout the year. You get a new piece of furniture that has a key that goes with it, and you put it in with all of your other ones. So have some way of them being able to identify, here are all the school keys that I have in my
Mhm.
possession, so that either you're aware or you can turn them in and put them somewhere in a packet that is ready for them when they come back. But that's just, I think, a, a small but a big item that can easily be overlooked.
Now, in some schools, you have very standardized rooms, and you have cupboards over top of the wall, three sides of your room, and that's where the textbooks go. And everybody's textbooks, no matter the grade, they all wind up there. In other schools, you're working with what used to be, a media closet, and what over here was half a gymnasium, and it's only separated by a cloth runner between the two, because that's what you're doing right now. You have a very clear understanding of where the major things are, where the textbooks are. If your teachers have desktop computers, where their desktop computers are supposed to be over the summertime, make sure you have a very clear plan for all of those things. And I've also been in a situation where I gave teachers laptops or mobile devices, and then they all at their checkout time. I didn't. I had a nice checklist, but when it came time to store the pieces of mobile equipment that were given back to me, they all wound up on a table in the office
Hmm.
because I hadn't prepared a place to put them. It was far more appropriate. So then we have the really expensive table, right? Because we talk about this day by day, the box in the school that has cell phones. If you have a cell phone box, it's this crazy expensive box. Like the same thing for that table. Then now that table in the office, the moment somebody bumps it, am I going to lose $40,000 worth of equipment right there? So have a plan in place for how you're going to receive that stuff back and where that stuff is going to live over the summertime, even though you haven't seen it for the totality of the year, which is one of those. You don't like to have a piece of furniture weighing you down or just sitting somewhere that's not used for the entire school year, but you need it in the summertime, so better make sure you have it in the summertime.
Yeah, that also reminded me with technology, if their desktop or their laptops or whatever, Chromebooks, whatever they may have, are password protected and it's no longer the
Yes,
one that they've been given,
huge.
make sure that for the tech guys who have to do
Yeah.
all the updating over the summer, make sure that they've got those pins, and they've got those passwords, usernames,
Mhm.
somewhere so that they're not having to contact, again, your teacher
Mhm.
that's in Djibouti because
Yep.
that's where teachers
They
go,
they
apparently.
in Djibouti. That's where they be.
Or
Yes.
you end up in a situation where, unfortunately, I've had to deal with, where you have a teacher who's planning on coming back and they don't come back. And
Yes.
then it's like,
Yes.
well, now what do we do? Because
Mhm.
do we want to just say, hey, I know you're not coming back here, but do you remember all this stuff that that you're supposed to?
And then it's only by their good graces that they do show up again at your door, and hopefully they
Right.
would as Christians, they would do that, but you have to expect that they won't. You need to pull the keys, especially in situations as, like, also a person who's gonna be involved with the church as well. There should be, blue copies that are school copy and red copies that are the church copies. Make them turn back in their blue copy and go and get their red copy from the church. Just
Hmm.
that's a general procedure. We all like, even if you have a red and blue one on your own keychain, okay? It is what it is. If that's the process, even your best teachers even the ones that have been there for 40 years, ask them to abide by it because you're going to save yourself headaches. So, okay, so we talked about getting ourselves ready, what we're going to do in preparation for the actual clean out time. Now, during that clean out time, are you trying to have meetings during that clean out time? Are you walking the halls and lending a hand? Are you trying to have formal, informal conversations? Are you already stacked with a bunch of outside meetings during that time? Are you involved in that clean out process? I knew you have your principals, but even if you are, the head of school for 3,000, what would you suggest your schedule look like during classroom clean out time? Assuming again that we're out of the school year now, and there's a little bit of a window of them cleaning up, even if it's just like, the last couple of half days of the school year.
Yeah, that's what we do. We end up having half days in the afternoons. We might have a meeting or two, but I make sure the meetings are direct to the point so that time can be given to wrapping everything up. And my goal is when the students are gone or graduation's done, the teachers can be done. Doesn't mean they
Mhm.
have to be, but they can be. But we do kind of reserve like a week after school. That way it's a little bit easier. Some of our teachers just like,
Yeah.
working without all the hubbub going on around them to be able to wrap things up. But when it comes to a cleaning time, the expectation, as we've already dealt with, you're sitting down, you're talking through, here's what you need to make sure you've accomplished by here are the deadlines. I'm not a micromanager in any sense of the word, but I do have the secondary and elementary principals that will be checking in and just making sure if they need any additional help. Um, I think I mentioned this on another podcast, but in the cleanup process, the thing that I am usually focused on, and when I'm going in and I'm talking with teachers during that time, lending a hand as I can, but I'm very much looking at next year and saying, "Hey, what would make your life better next
Huh.
year?" And in that cleanup time, that those are when ideas tend to pop up of, what if we had the desks oriented this way as opposed to that way? Or
Mhm.
what if we had an extra bookcase right here that helped with, this thing we struggled with throughout the year? So that's what I'm generating lists. I mean, I've already have the teachers creating like, here's what needs to be fixed in my room. They've got a list of that they're going to be turning in. I always give them a what are your needs, what are your wants, and I'm always having to get on my teachers. I don't know what it is, but when it comes to the want section, they just don't write things down. I'm like, I know you want things. Not only that,
Yeah.
I know we're going to come to the start of the school year and we'll get a couple weeks in, and then I'm going to get this huge list of things that, oh, life would be so much better if I had all these things. And it's
Yeah.
so much more difficult to get it at that point. But, constantly just stepping in and saying, "Hey, what do you think? Like, how does that work? Does that bulletin board good there? Do we need to move that?" I'm usually thinking a lot more in the progression and less of the have you, got this done. I kind of lean more on my principles just to be checking on that kind of thing.
You talk about the want section of those checklists. We had a conversation with a board member concerning the Amazon wish lists that pop up from teachers come August, September, and the look of the Amazon wish lists. Okay. Does that make our school look cheap? Does that make our school look like it's not providing? Does that set board members' thoughts on, wait a second, why are they having to go out? They don't make enough money. Why don't they go do this? Then why do they have to go do this themselves? Why can't we provide for that? You should think about that and where you want to stand with your teachers and even perhaps coaching them. Hey, remember last year we had a conversation how you put out an Amazon wish list. We don't love to see those go out because we think we can provide for you. So let us know what you need. Give us a chance at that. And if you have to think through that now, let's think through that now and help you. But maybe that's another episode. I'm sure that's another episode. But there should be a conversation in your school about are you actually promoting wish lists and having them out there? Which one of the common refrains I hear from our public school peers is that they have to put those wish lists out, otherwise there's no money. And I think back to my YouTube comment that we just got, and I've been answering now the conversation twice of there should be no, school funding should only ever go to public schools. It should never go in any way to any other paid tuition school. I think that's what happens 9 times out of 10, and they still don't have enough money. The blueprint for Maryland is not doing wonderful economic things for our state. And so I say, how come there is now again more money, far more money than's ever been spent before and doesn't go down year by year, and you still have to put on Amazon wish lists for your classrooms? Come on now. So we have reactions to those. Okay, so that's what you're doing during that time. You're trying to be around. It sounds like you're trying to be around. I also would want to be around as much as possible. I did not want to present myself as a laborer in those situations. I definitely had meetings and things to get to during that time. That's the time when staff is often meeting, or you are calling times together with certain parts of the staffing. So, no, I really don't want to be the hands helping you move your 20 desks that you are on the hook for moving yourself. So, the fine line, always, right? We had the conversations about being willing to clean the toilets and letting somebody else do the cleaning of the toilets. So
Yeah.
the same here. Now, let's talk about the things which are commonly forgotten in classroom cleanout times. Matt shows up in the summertime. You already alluded to some of this, the passwords, the keys. I think there's some other things though. I think the grade book, the SIS, whether they use GradeLink, like our partner, or someone else, making sure they finalized their grade book, making sure this should be the fifth time really, because the first, second, third, and fourth quarters, hopefully the principals yourself, you're going through and checking the grade book anyway, and you're seeing and making sure that the grade book is filled out correctly as you would say is correct. But then this last time now you're finalizing everything. So there is, you do want to have eyes on the whole thing. And you want to be able to run those reports as early as possible so that you can ask them questions while they're still on campus and not have to contact them using all your minutes, calling to Djibouti. So I would say the grade book is one of the things in this life that can get overlooked. Matt, do you have something else that you would say is commonly forgotten past what you've already noted about locks and keys and those sorts of things?
Yeah. Um, I, hmm.
I'll take it back. Here's another thing that's forgotten all the time. The things that aren't necessarily one person's responsibility, like their classroom responsibility,
Oh,
but the PE shed or the
mm-hmm.
recess wagon or
Recess wagging.
the recess wagon or the outside, the outside box that you have there, and that needs to be. There are parts of the school that should get assigned to faculty if that's how your school would operate. There are parts of the school. Now, maybe you got facilities guy for that. Maybe that's something that your honor students do in a final cleanup. Who knows, whatever you have. But oftentimes we would break down into other parts of the school and, faculty is responsible for their areas, even those regards. And are those things picked up? Are the neighborhood's kids going to come and raid those throughout the rest of the summer because we left them out, the tuition money that was spent on those things? But
Yeah, shared items is going to be a big thing. And not only that, but also if there are things in the classroom, I'm just going to think of something crazy like leftover construction paper.
Mhm.
And you could take that down to the supply room and so that we're not having to over order in the summertime, like those kind of things too, that instead of it just living in a cabinet, clean those cabinets out. Another thing, I was just talking with a first year teacher about this because this could also be something that's forgotten is you're the best teacher that there is. So you've collected every single card
Mm.
and picture that was colored from all of your students, and you've just allowed that pile to get larger and larger and larger and larger. And what are you going to do with it? Rather than maybe being that teacher that just, well, that year's over, throw it to the dumpster, move on. Talk with other teachers because I've heard of some really creative things that teachers have been able to do with that kind of stuff, especially living in the age of technology that we have. Some teachers send things away and make a book. Some teachers just save like things for each child and put it in a folder, or there is a method to it as opposed to just living with a giant stack of papers that you leave in your cabinet for the summertime and then you come back and you start collecting for the next year, and then it's like, well, now you've got 2 years worth. So be thinking about what you are allowing to gather in your room and what you could easily get rid of and just do the best you can to help yourself out to start from square one come next year.
There's a digital footprint that our teachers have as well, and they're gonna have emails, and maybe your IT does or does not have a it's not like we would delete their inboxes, but maybe there is a need for them to go through and hit their important folder that they saved a bunch of important emails in. Maybe you could encourage them. Something that is often forgotten would be or you could encourage them as the admin saying, "Hey, by the way, sometimes teachers forget. They need to go write down their blessings for the year. They need you've heard me harp on that before for us as administrators, but harp on that with your teachers. Have them go through that email that is all the important or all the positive feedback they got and have them make notes of that. And let's make sure that gets shared out with people who that actually get shared out with. Or maybe, maybe it's not their email that they save those sorts of things on. Maybe it's whatever they have. Maybe again, it's their social media and they should take part of their last week and go through and count up the blessings. And what a great thing to do with their students, by the way, as well. Maybe
Mhm.
they could oftentimes, again, the younger teachers have an issue of thinking that they have planned enough when they haven't planned enough in that end of school time. So maybe one of the things you could offer them to, hey, have you written down your blessings from this year and have their students help them with that? And then they have this tome of blessings from the year from their classroom. What a wonderful thing. And then to be able to share that and you talk about keeping memories, put that down somewhere even digitally. And what a
Yeah.
wonderful memory saver that is.
Yeah, this is a great reason again why I don't like putting off the complete classroom clean out to
Hmm.
when everybody's gone, because you miss those opportunities of being able to say, "Hey guys, remember when we did this with your class?" Or yeah, instead of having to one person move all 20 desks, one student per desk moves it where it's supposed to go and it's done like that. But those things in particular, you're going to come across those blessings, those successes that when I get my teachers together on a weekly basis and we talk about blessings from the week, this is the time where they are seeing so many more light bulbs and they're getting it and they're growing and it's so amazing and they're about to be gone and
Mm,
they need to be sharing that. That's what I try to remind them. They need to be
yeah.
sharing that with their students, that they see it, that they acknowledge it, and that number one, that God's getting the glory, but number two, like it's going to help that child so much to be able to recognize, oh, this is where I've come from, and somebody sees it and somebody appreciates it. That's going to go a long way. This episode is brought to you by our partners at the Herzog Foundation, whose mission aligns beautifully with ours to advance and support Christ centered education. The Herzog Foundation exists to catalyze excellence in Christian schools, helping more children experience academic rigor, biblical truth, and strong moral character, all in a safe and nurturing environment. Whether through teacher training, principal development, or strategic media efforts, the Herzog Foundation is committed to helping you, the Christian school leader, fulfill your calling with excellence. Their vision is bold but clear: a national renaissance in Christian education that impacts culture for generations. At the Christian Principles Podcast, we're proud to stand with Herzog Foundation in that mission. Learn more at herzogfoundation.com. Together, we're building schools and futures on the rock of Christ. And as always, tell them that the fellas here at the Christian Principles Podcast sent you their way.
Tired of report cards that look just like spreadsheets? GradeLink makes it easy to create professional, great looking report cards that reflect your school standards. And since parents can optionally view them online, there's less paper and less hassle. Head over to cpp.gradelink.com to see how you can upgrade your report cards.
That's awesome. There's probably 100 other things that we didn't talk about, and we didn't talk about too many specifics on this in any one of those 3 sections. We kinda gave a couple ideas for both, but maybe, again, as you're listening, this has prodded you to think about what's coming up for you in late May, June, and you can revisit those. Perhaps at least from today, you'll go and revisit your checklist. Perhaps you'll at least go and have a conversation with your rookie teachers. I guess we didn't say too much about our veteran teachers. They hopefully are very good at this, but they might not be good at you if you're a new administrator, you're in a new role, or if you have a new principal between you and that between you and that person. So just think through. Maybe just take the time to gather your thoughts as we have and submit them to whoever they need to be submitted to so that all are on the same page as it comes to the end of the school year. carefully noting that if you talk about it too soon, people will get in the mindset of thinking about it too soon. That's not the
Yeah,
best mindset to
right.
be in. But let's go ahead and move on. We're going to talk about our Christian Administrator Spotlight now, and our Christian Administrator Spotlight is going to go out to Spring Lee of Perry Hall Christian School, and Spring Lee serves as the elementary school principal. She also happens to serve as the math department chair there at Perry Hall Christian School. That's exciting. Spring, we're going to, what a great name. Great name for a great time. Spring, we're going to pray for you now. And I believe that concludes our Perry Hall administrators, where we've prayed for Dina Ruff and Larissa McCauley, and now Spring Lee. So, Spring, Matt's going to pray for you now.
Father, thank you so much for Spring and the contribution that she has there at Perry Hall, leading as a principal, even as a head of the math department. Lord, just pray that as that ministry comes to a close, as we wrap out this year, that in the cleanup time, that they're able to recall many blessings and accomplishments that have been done throughout this year. Lord, of course, all of that due to your working. But I pray that Spring would be able to just see valuable growth in their ministry and opportunities for growth in the future. I pray that you would just allow that ministry to continue to grow in a way that brings you honor and glory. I pray that Spring would be growing in her relationship with you, whatever struggles or personal battles might be going on, that Lord, you have the answers, you have the solutions. And I just pray that you would make those things clear as we continue to walk faithful each and every day, looking to you as our creator, as our authority, but the one who gives grace and compassion and mercy each and every day. Lord, we love you. We look forward to what you have in store for the summertime and in the year ahead, especially for Spring and those at Perry Hall. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, folks, thanks for growing with us today.
We want to thank you for listening. We're honored that you spend this time with us each week. Our heart is to bring you practical conversations and resources that really serve you as a Christian school leader. One of the best ways you can help us spread the word is by leaving us a review and sharing the podcast with other Christian school principals you're connected with. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Join the conversation and share any posts that resonate with you. Every share makes a difference in helping more leaders find encouragement and practical tools. And remember, the podcast is just one way we help. We also love serving schools through speaking and workshops. Our keynotes and sessions are designed to give you actionable strategies you can take back to your team and implement right away. If you'd like more details, just send us an email at info@christianprinciplespodcast.com. We'd love to connect. Until next time, thanks for joining us on the Christian Principles Podcast.